You know, by the time this whole Pierre-Luc Dubois thing is over, by the time he's either traded in the next year and a half or he re-signs and he locks himself in long-term with Columbus, I think, and this is just a very baseless guess here, I have no idea where this is coming from, that you could probably compile a full playlist of YouTube videos on this channel talking about Pierre-Luc Dubois and every other NHL team, because every day, there seems to be a new rumor linking Pierre-Luc Dubois to new teams. We've already spoken at length about the Montreal Canadiens, we spoke about the LA Kings, we spoke about the Boston Bruins, we spoke about Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, and yeah, there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on, discussion going on about this player over here, and for good reason. We all know how good he is. In fact, if you've seen all the videos we've made on this channel, then you know how good he is too. But we have an Elliotte Friedman quote that I wanted to discuss over here that was tweeted out onto Twitter, and that opens up the door to some scarier teams in this discussion here. Because really, the teams that we've spoken about have been mostly middle-of-the-pack teams. Calgary, Edmonton, Montreal, I don't think they're going to be middle-of-the-pack. I think they're going to be a little bit higher up there. But Montreal is indeed a team that not a lot of people have as a top Cup contending team in terms of reputation. Well, in this video, we're going over those Cup reputable teams, and it comes to us in the form of a tweet here by Columbus Blue Jackets coverage. This is a Twitter account that goes over different news and rumors about the Blue Jackets, and of course, because Pierre-Luc Dubois plays for the Blue Jackets, it makes sense why this Twitter account specifically is the one tweeting it out. This is what Elliotte Friedman said on NHL Network. The Dubois front was quiet this past weekend, which was the last time he checked in on it. But he also adds, I think there are some stealth, big teams checking in on this. He specifically points out the Colorado Avalanche and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, it's kind of funny. First off, this is the third Avalanche video we've made in a row. Last time it was the stream of Avalanche versus Kings, and then the video before that, it was the trade that they made with Ian Cole. And I saw a lot of people, some of them in the comment section of that Ian Cole trade video, saying, oh man, Joe Sakic, this guy's got a plan, you know? He's not going to trade away an Ian Cole just for a Bowen Byram, you know? There might be something else in play here. And obviously, you know, I don't want to get all conspiracy theorist on you and try to convince you that what I'm thinking about is the right thing and what's actually going to happen, but it is an idea that people have been at the very least talking about. And because we talk about hockey on this channel in a conversational context, I thought it would be interesting to bring it up. So, our topic here today goes over Pierre-Luc Dubois, Tampa Bay, Colorado, as well as the other teams that Friedman notes. This isn't taken out of context. There are a ton of teams that have interest in this situation. Seriously, a ton. And because all the new rumors have been coming about with teams that are potentially asking and teams that might have their own say in the matter, that's kind of why I said at the beginning, you know, by the time this Dubois thing is over, by the time he's either traded or locked in long-term with Columbus, you could probably compile an entire playlist of every NHL team talking about this guy, because with every other team in there, there's a discussion to be had. So, our discussion here takes us to Colorado and Tampa, and when I think about these two teams, I think Stanley Cup finalists, Stanley Cup winners, Stanley Cup runner-ups. These are the teams that, in my opinion, are some of the strongest in the entire NHL. When it comes to the top teams in the league, you have the guys like Boston, whom we did speak about in these Dubois talks, by the way. You have the guys like the Philadelphia Flyers, whom a lot of people were pegging to win the Cup back when the playoffs started back in the summer. Or was it the beginning of fall? Yeah, something like that. But Colorado, Tampa, these are also in that ballpark, and in fact, they're looking so strong this year to the point that many people believe, if you were to place money on it, that these two teams would be some of the top in the entire NHL. And it makes a lot of interesting discussion thinking about how a Pierre-Luc Dubois, a young 23-year-old $5 million center who was already the best player on his team, could come over to this squad and potentially have a huge impact. Again, we spoke about Colorado. They freed up salary cap space with this Ian Cole trade. Is this the opening gateway to going over into a trade for a bigger asset like a Pierre-Luc Dubois, to go over there into the postseason with a center core of Nathan MacKinnon, Nazem Kadri, and Pierre-Luc Dubois? You take this guy, who was a first-line center on his squad under Tortorella, and you slot him in behind Kadri and MacKinnon, or you slot him in behind MacKinnon, because that's also very valid. All of a sudden, this Colorado Avalanche team went from unstoppable to astronomically unstoppable in the most paramount way that you could have asked for. Because if you take a look at what the Avalanche did with that Ian Cole trade, you acquired Greg Pateryn, who's a lot more of an easier asset to scratch, put on the taxi squad, etc., because Ian Cole was just a better player straight up. You have yourselves a Pateryn who can now take a back seat to what is now Bowen Byram on your team. You have Byram, you have Makar, you have Timmins, you have Graves, you have Samuel Girard and Devon Taves, and all of a sudden you now have Pierre-Luc Dubois too. Oh my goodness, that's a stacked team. That's a team that probably could have booked a ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals and just laid back in a rocking chair while waiting for the date to come, because even though this team barely got eliminated last year in Game 7 overtime because of Yoel blank Kirivanta, you still had yourselves a Game 7 overtime loss, and your team didn't really get all too much worse. You guys added Saad. You guys got rid of Zadorov, and you added Bowen Byram. You guys swapped out Ian Cole for Greg Pateryn. I get that, and Byram is included in that conversation. But think about it, man. Byram Makar with Dubois in this squad, too, with Brandon Saad. Boy, oh boy, that's a good team. That's a really good team, and it's very obvious to me why a team like this would go out there and at least ask about, check in with the Blue Jackets, ask what the price is. Because if you just have to give up, I don't know, an Alex Newhook and a very good, capable NHL forward right now, then who knows what's going to go on. As for the other team, though, the Tampa Bay Lightning, this is another one of those squads that if you said we're going to repeat in the 2021 Stanley Cup Finals, yeah, you wouldn't really have too many doubters. First off, the Lightning are up and away the best team in their division, so it wouldn't be too difficult, in my opinion, for these guys to go out there and just completely overrun the competition, waltz over into the Eastern Conference Finals, take out whichever team from the Metro turned further East Division is coming out of there alive, because that East Division is an absolute battle with all the good teams in there. Tampa Bay is going to waltz to the finals this year, or at least they can. If they don't, then something beyond my suspension of belief would actually have to come to fruition, which, believe me, there's a story there for sure. It's just this team already did so much to keep themselves back under the salary cap while keeping all the super important upfront guys that we all knew they had. They had to get rid of other players like, for example, Cedric Paquette, Braden Coburn. Good players? Sure. Priorities on the Lightning? No. The priorities were Sergachev, they were Chiarelli, they were Jan Ruda, Eric Chernak. They were these guys over here. And the Bolts got them all back. Now, I don't know the likelihood of a Tampa Bay Lightning going out there and actually trading for a Dubois in a deal that Jarmo Kekalainen actually says yes to. But hey man, Julien Brisebois learned from the best in Steve Yzerman. If there's anybody out there who is so dangerous in these kinds of acquisitions here, I would probably say Tampa. Like seriously, they were the team that turned Nolan Foote and a Vancouver first into Blake Coleman, which was a very good asset for them in the Cup run, and who's still on this squad today at a very good $1.8 million, you know? Like, there are assets on this Lightning team that do not cost all too much. That if you wanted to make a swap, I guess you probably could, depending on who the team is. Now, does this mean Dubois for Tyler Johnson would go through one for one? Absolutely not. It just means that there is room to work with here because the Lightning actually have somewhat valuable pieces. And this is without Kucherov, by the way, too. Oh my gosh, imagine when they get that guy back, eh? So talk to me in the comments what you think about the Colorado Avalanche and or the Tampa Bay Lightning being called out here by Elliotte Friedman as two teams, big teams, that are stealth teams potentially checking in on Pierre-Luc Dubois. Now again, checking in just means calling up Jarmo Kekalainen and say, hey, what's up, buddy? What's the price on Dubois, eh? Let me hear it. That's checking in. That doesn't mean, oh, we're actually going to do anything, we have plans to make a trade or whatever. That's just calling, doing your due diligence, and understanding what the market sentiment for one of the top players on the market right now is. And that doesn't mean anything is set in stone, but because they have indeed checked in, I think it's a great opportunity to discuss the possibilities. So, talk to me in the comments about Pierre-Luc Dubois and what he would do with Colorado, what he would do with Tampa. I saw a lot of Avs fans in the previous video about the Ian Cole trade saying that there might be something up Sakic's sleeve to get rid of money this way because he maybe wants to make a splash. So is that related in any way in your opinion? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. Trolls 99 and bye.